Okay, I think we're recording now. Okay, so today we're doing P7. I'm not moving too fast. We'll break for lunch around 55-ish or wherever we're at a good stopping point. We're dealing with inequalities with absolute values and then also with quadratics. So we're going to start with the absolute values. I'm going to teach you kind of a shortcut, kind of a different method of doing it, but I want to start by doing one that you probably know how to do. So if you saw this absolute value with an inequality, how would you start solving this? Does anyone remember? Anyone have any idea? We wouldn't do that. Patrick? So we do want to change the positive negativeness of something, but we're not going to do it what's on the inside. The inside always stays the same. So I've got x minus 3 is less than 4. So one version, we keep it the same. Again, I'm going to teach you another one in a second. I just want to remind you of something that you maybe have seen. You're allowed to do it this way, but I will argue that the more we do, the more you'll want to do it the new way I'm going to teach you. The other way we do it is we flip it. So then I would make it greater than -4. So you flip your inequality and then you negate or you change the sign of the number on the right side. Okay, now that we're here, we want to start solving. So I'm going to do one at a time. So the first one, I'm going to add 3 to both sides. So x is less than 7. And then for the second one, I'm going to add 3 to both sides also, and I get x is greater than -1. Okay, from here, I'm going to draw a little number line, and I'm going to graph this. So all of our answers should be graphed and an interval notation. So I would graph -1, I'd graph 7. Am I going to do an open or closed on 7? Open, and am I going to shade to the right or to the left? Left. Left for less than. So I'm going to shade this way. And then the second one says x is greater than -1, open or close? Open, and then am I going to shade left or right? Right. So this time I'm shading in between those two. Right here. What would my interval notation be of this? Patrick? Parentheses on both. Awesome. Okay, so what I just did in pink, you should have known before, you should have done before. Now in this green color, I'm going to show you how to do it without any of this extra math. We're only using a number line. Okay? When we see this x minus 3 in absolute values, if you remember back, I'm going to scroll back in my notes. I think it's like P2, number 10. I'm going to scroll back. I hope I have something written there. It was a long, long time ago, it feels like at this point. Number 10. Oh, I don't have anything written there. It's like the 2.5 page on your notes. We wrote the distance between x and 3 is 8, and we wrote that as an absolute value. Do you guys remember doing that? Yeah? I'm going to take that concept and go the reverse of it now. So now I gave you an absolute value problem, and we're going to write it in terms of the distance between x and some number, okay? So I'm going to go back to where we're at. So x minus 3 is the same thing as the distance between x and, my formula, I guess, for the distance is always like the negative. When you take it out of the absolute value, you need to change the sign. So do the distance between x and +3 is less than 4. And you don't have to necessarily write that out. I'm just writing that out to prove something to you right now. So if I read that as the distance between x and 3 is less than 4, well, I'm going to draw a little number line, a distance between x and 3. So I know where 3 is. We'll say 3 is here. X could be this way, or x could be this way. What's my distance either way do I have to check? How far away is it? 4. It's 4 away. So if I am 4 away from 3 to the right, where would I be at? 7. If I was 4 away 3 from the left, where would I be at? -1, you can think about adding 3 and minusing 3. So I'm at -1. And I said it's less than, so that means that I've got open circles. And if I ever have a less than or equal to sign, it's always shading on the inside or shade in between. So I'm going to shade them inside. With so much less math, I just did this. I was able to solve the exact same way I did before. Is my interval notation still correct? Yeah, I'm not going to make us rewrite that. So I'm going to try and solve all of the rest of them like this, thinking of them as the distance between the distance between. It's generally the same math. I just think it's easier to keep straight in my head. I don't lose track of the inequalities. I don't lose a negative. This I just think is easier and cleaner. So that's how we're going to do the next couple, okay? So let's walk with me through letter B. This one says x plus 6 absolute value is greater than or equal to 5. So I can think of this as the distance between x and, remember when we take it out, we have to change the sign. So it would be x and -6 is greater than or equal to 5. I just don't feel like writing greater than or equal to that. I'm going to make my number line. What number goes in the middle? -6. Because I have to flip the sign when it goes outside of the absolute value. It's like parentheses, like when you have a quadratic and you have like x minus 1 squared, you would tell me that the answer would be like 1. We don't change it when we rewrite it like this. But if I want to think of it as a number, this is saying the distance between x and -6, because distance is always minus a number. So I'm thinking of like x minus 1. All right. And then my distance is 5, or greater than or equal to 5. So I need to go 5 this way, which would leave me at -1. And I'm going to go 5 this way, and it would leave me at -11. I told you on the last one that less than and less than or equal to's, you shade inside. Greater than and greater than or equal to, you shade away. You shade on the outside. That's just a rule of thumb we can use to remember. So on the right, shade outside. So that means here I'm going to shade these on the outside. Am I going to do open or close circles though? Closed. Why, Patrick? Or equal to. The or equal to makes it closed. And then I'm going to shade this way. And then I'm going to shade this way. Okay, now, when we do interval notation here, I don't just have one interval, I have 2 intervals. This is an interval that I have to deal with, and this is an interval I have to deal with. We're gonna write 2 of them. Let's just focus on one at a time, okay? So let's focus on the one on the left first. So if I'm thinking about the one that's highlighted in yellow right now, what's the smallest number in that interval? I'm going forever to the left. Negative infinity. And what's the biggest number in that interval? -11. Does infinity always have a parentheses or always have a bracket? Parentheses. And then does the 11 have a parentheses or bracket? Bracket. Awesome. Same idea for the next one. What's the smallest number in this interval? What's the biggest number in this interval? Parentheses with the -1 or bracket? What about with the infinity? Awesome. The only thing I want to add here is that when we have 2 of these, we're going to put a little U in between them to say that they go together. That's like our universal sign that they go together. Great job, guys. Jared, was that a hand or a stretch? Stretch. All right. Let's look at letter C. Now, when you have a coefficient in front, let's divide everything by that so I don't have a number that's like between 2x and something. I just want it to be x. So get rid of that coefficient by dividing every piece by 2. and then we'll do the exact same process. Divide by 2, divide by 2. So I still have absolute value of x minus 1/2 less than or equal to 3/2. Again, I can think of this as my distance between x and what number? Positive 1/2 is less than or equal to what? 3/2. My distance is 3/2. I make my number line. What goes in the middle of the number line? 1/2. We do not flip any signs. We flipped this sign right here. Okay, now my distance is 3/2 this way and 3/2 this way. 1/2 plus 3/2 is 2. 1 plus 3 is 4. 4 divided by 2 is going to be 2. And then we're going to minus it. So I've got 1 minus 3 is -2. -2 divided by 2 is -1. You guys know fractions were just like a little lazy right now, right? That's fine. That's totally fine with me. If you don't know them, then we have a different discussion. But if you know them, but we're just not feeling it, I'm okay. All right, now we're going to graph it. It says less than or equal to. Am I shading inside or am I shading away? Inside. Shade inside. Open or close circles? Close. Shading inside. All right, now we need our interval notation. It's the smallest number in this interval. What's the biggest number in this interval? Parentheses or brackets? Brackets. All right, let's do one more, and then we're going to eat lunch. Same idea with this one. Let's divide by that coefficient in front and get rid of that by everything. Divide by your coefficient from everything. Got another fraction, that's okay. My distance between x and what number? Again? -2 is greater than 1/3. So now we're going to draw our number line. What goes in the middle of my number line? -2. And I want to go 1/3 to the right, and I want to go 1/3 to the left. Remember, it's a -2, so if I do -2 plus 1/3, -1 2/3. And then if I do -2 and then I minus 1/3, I get -2 1/3. Everyone good? Patrick? You can do whatever you want as long as you don't mess it up and as long as you graph it and you write interval notation. Do I do open or close circles? Open. Do I shade inside or away? Away. We got a two-parter interval notation again. Who wants to help me on this one? Patrick? Uh-huh. That's fine. Uh-huh. 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 Perfect. So Patrick wrote his as improper. We wrote ours as mixed numbers. Does not matter. Both are correct. Honestly, they're both ugly, but it's fine. All right. That's that. How are you feeling? Okay? Good? Okay, we will come back at 12:25. You may go to the bathroom, you may get lunch, whatever you need to. Zoomers, be back at 12:25.